Alright, here's our next example, and again we are going to have to complete the square in order to get this into the standard form so that we can read everything off. Alright, so let's go ahead and start doing that. We're going to put our x squared plus 6x. Since the x is what's squared this time, that's what we're completing the square on, so I'm going to leave a blank. And I'm going to move everything else over to the other side. So that means that we're going to have to add 3y to both sides and subtract 3 from both sides. Now we can go ahead and complete our square. So if we take half of the middle term, half of 6 would be 3, squared is 9. So we're going to have to add 9 to both sides to balance. Now whenever we factor this left side down, that's going to factor into x plus 3, quantity squared, equals 3y plus 6. Now that still is not in that really good standard form, because if you'll remember standard form, this the 4a position is being multiplied to a binomial. So we can pull a 3 out of these two terms here. So that would be x plus 3 quantity squared equals 3 times y plus 2. And now we have it in much better standard form. From that standard form, we can look at this and say, okay, which way is this thing going to open? Well, since the x is being squared, that tells us it's either going to be up or down. And because this 4a position here is a positive, that says that this thing should open up. So we know that already. We can also, if it opens up, it should follow. Let me go ahead and put in the generic standard form here so we can kind of compare these as we go. We know this is a positive since our 4a position is positive. I'm looking for the vertex, which is the HK. So what is being subtracted from the x's in this case is a negative 3. Because remember, it has to follow the form x minus h. So h would have to be a negative 3. And then we have to think about what's being subtracted from the y's here for our k value, which would be a negative 2. So the negative 3 and a negative 2 would put us right here for our vertex. And remember, we know that this thing opens up, so we know we're going to have to go up to the focus and down to the directrix line. Alright, so let's think about that for just a second. Our a value here is 3. I'm sorry, our 4a value there is 3. Because remember, this is the 4a position, which means a is 3/4. So we're going to go 3/4 one direction to find the focus. Since this opens up, we're going to go up 3/4 units for the focus, and then we're going to go down 3/4 units for our directrix line. Now we need to label those. Alright, for our focus, we went in the x direction, negative 3. And in the y direction, we started at negative 2 and went up 3/4 units. So negative 2 plus 3/4. If we got a common denominator of 4, then that would make that, let's see what, 2 would be 8/4, so that would make that negative 5/4, which makes sense, right? Down 1 and then another quarter. For the directrix line, this is going to be a y equals, because of it crossing through the y-axis. If you think about it, we started down at negative 2 and we went down an additional 3/4. So negative 2 minus 3/4, if we got our common denominator, then that would make that negative 11/4. And we'll finish with the lattice rectum and our graphing in the next video.